Hello everybody and welcome to semi-final week. It's NBL Overtime, double-header to kickstart us on Thursday night as we continue to find out who's going to be the champion for 2018-19. Two big semi-finals to get into, plenty of highlights over the course of the weekend without basketball. We'll talk a little bit about the Boomers as well, and of course, your questions, hashtag NBL Overtime, hashtag NBL19. Fire them towards us at NBL on Twitter, Facebook, Instagram, however you can get them to us. We'll get to them before the show is out. Of course, joining me, Cameron Luke, on the panel as always, is a man who's stunned the basketball world, not just the Australian fraternity, but everyone who has played with him in his 14-year professional career. Of course, I talk of Carey Homicide Williams. Hello, mate. How you doing?
I am fantastic, man. Glad to see you guys in one full piece.
Yeah, we'll get to that, Liam Santamaria. Welcome to you.
Thank you. Good to have you back, Corey.
Glad to be back, man.
And semi-finals. Let's go. Now it gets serious.
Before we get into all of that, because, of course, as you mentioned, you are back in one piece. And we played a little bit last week of where you were. You're, of course, on the road with the 3-on-3 hustle that we're going to talk a little bit about before the end of the show as well. But you're up in Darwin promoting that and doing a wonderful job. But you did nearly not come back in one full piece because there was a couple of situations where we saw involving crocodiles. And, of course, you were a crocodile yourself in your professional basketball career. But
on tight,
here's a little bit of you from last week, mate. How did you go on the water?
I went really well. You know, obviously I'm Jamaican. I've been swimming forever, so you know that whole black people can't swim. Not this black guy could swim.
How did you feel right here?
This was, look at me. You know, this was the second croc. You know, I actually caught a fish.
Oh, what did you catch here?
I don't even know.
Fish.
But I did catch one.
Are you a big fisherman?
No, this was my second time fishing.
Okay.
Obviously, I didn't come up with anything
That's
that time.
not a fish.
Yeah,
Can you show the
that
fish?
is not a fish.
Can somebody please?
Where's the evidence?
You've been in showbiz for a while. If you're going to drop you caught a fish and you film everything, so it's hard for us to believe when you say I caught a fish and it's not documented on film that you caught a fish.
I caught a fish.
I like that other one that wasn't shown there where you just called it off. You said, that's it.
Yeah, the croc was a 5-meter croc named Otis. We were literally in the swamp. If you ever saw the movie called Rogue, anyway.
Yeah, I've seen it.
We were on the road, not on the road, but in the water, on a fan boat like that. And we went, you know that noise, wranglers make when they trying to call the croc, wah, all of that. Which I don't know how Otis even heard that, but he showed up.
He snapped at you.
He snapped and...
He smelled some fresh meat and he was
He
looking
definitely
for
saw some dog meat. Haven't had no dog meat in a while, I'm sure. And you're not going to have this dog meat. I came back in full tact and I'm here.
The best thing about that was, and you were like, we're out.
We're out.
And then... You just hear the motor of the boat start up, and then I assume you just headed out. So there you go. But it's good. Man. You are back in one piece. Yeah. And the best time to do it is we head into semi-finals. We got through the FIBA break. The Boomers have qualified on top, 1-1 over the course of the weekend on the road. A little bit about the Boomers later on, but now we are set our sights on what a wonderful semi-final series it will be. The closest and most exciting NBL series of all time will lead into, hopefully, not only just the best of 3 semi-final games, but a grand final series for the ages. And we're going to start with the minor champion, the Perth Wildcats, who all year, Carey Williams said they couldn't do it, but they finished on top. An outstanding effort by Trevor Gleeson and his men. Mitch Norton during the week still talking up there's a chance if they make a grand final, but they will play Brisbane starting Thursday night. And, of course, Trevor Gleeson has started the fireworks early, bringing into question the physical tactics and play by the Brisbane Bullets. What do you think? You're going to be doing this game in this series. What do you think?
Look, I don't think there has been any tougher critic in this country on the Perth Wildcats than me.
Yeah.
And, I am impressed. Bryce Cotton leveled his game up. Nick Kay has always been consistent all year. They somehow finish first place. I have to respect that. They are playing against the Brisbane Bullets. You know what I got for that matchup?
Oh, no. You wait, what?
Got something for that matchup.
Come on.
Get the broom out.
Wow.
Perth in 2. You have swung.
Wow.
Get the broom. Look, I got to keep it real. We are at the tail end of the year.
We are.
No more nonsense. Let's keep it real.
Yeah?
Get the broom out. Perth Wildcats with a sweep. Let me tell you why. I got 2 other names I'm going to say. What's that backcourt? What's the backcourt of Brisbane?
Good England.
They're going to be shut down. Game over. They're 3, 4, and 5 position. They legit. That backcourt, suspect. All year they've been inconsistent. True or false?
True, that's true.
All right, then. It's showtime now. Have they both played? When's the last time they've been in the finals?
Well, but
it's a whole nother level.
Not in their current.
It's a whole nother level. They're not ready. They're gonna get shut down.
Not ready.
You want Damian Martin chasing you for the next 2 games?
I don't.
Arrested Damian Martin? Well, okay, who's gonna get off on Damian Martin with that backcourt? Not a soul. Who gonna guard Bryce Cotton on that backcourt? Who gonna stop him? Game over, man. That's why this is on the table.
Yeah,
Get him out of here.
I'm not buying into the broom. They are 2-2 this season, the Wildcats and the Bullets. But the only one that really matters is the last one, because Brisbane are a completely different team with Lamar Patterson on the roster. He transformed them as a championship contender, and they're 1-0 over the Wildcats with Lamar Patterson. And he is an issue. He's an issue for the Wildcats. He's an issue for every team. And I'm not sure. I mean, how are they going to guard Lamar Patterson? He's a difference maker.
All right, let's look at the matchups, because you mentioned who's going to guard Bryce Cotton. Who does go to Cotton first? Is it Glidden or is it Kadee?
Yeah, I think they've got to throw different bodies at him.
Or do you throw Patterson on Cotton?
No.
You're going to get him in foul trouble early and get tired.
But I think you do rotate bodies. You throw a whole bunch of different bodies. I think they're deeper, Brisbane, than Perth are.
I agree.
They're a very deep team. And I think you start with Glidden, but you go a whole bunch of different guys. Glidden, Gibson's minutes on Cotton are going to be really important. Kendall, throw him out there for 3 or 4 manic minutes at a time of like full court pressure. AJ Davis, they used him against Jerome Randall at one point during the year. They had a look at that. If he's a guy they can turn to, I think you throw different bodies. You switch off the ball so you can switch into denial.
Well, no.
Got to trap.
Be careful there, because if you remember the first controversy of NBL Overtime,
that's how he hit
the
game-winning shot.
Carey rocked up and called Adam Gibson scared without knowing.
That's on the ball.
My bad, Adam Gibson. We straighten that out. We good. My bad.
No, that's on the ball.
So you mean off the ball?
Off the ball switch like Adelaide do. On the ball, you got to trap, you got to double, you got to get it out of his hands, make other guys beat you.
What did you make of the comments? Trevor Gleeson, of course, firing the first fireworks early in the week. What did you make of them?
It's mind games. He's just trying to, if he gets 1 or 2 moving pick calls as a result of that,
it's a win.
It's a win.
Now, you're doing the Perth Wildcats game. So you're in town, the Red Army, they love to see you, and that's part of what this league has done a wonderful job of and what you do a wonderful job of. Now, I just want to go back. I must admit, sometimes I tune out when you're talking, so I can't remember the exact game, but I think it was Perth and New Zealand. And New Zealand were putting Perth to the sword halfway through the second quarter, and you said, this team, no. And you were even suggesting they wouldn't make the playoffs. And you and Sean Redditch made a bet.
Let me tell you what the bet was for those of you who don't know what he's talking about or referring to. So basically, there was a bet, not with Redditch. There was a bet with Simon Devlin.
Okay.
And George Sippy, right? Which I was talking to today, explaining to them, NBL stated I have to wear my suit and tie and not the jersey.
Oh, you can't wear the jersey?
Can't wear the jersey.
What?
So we got a tie on. We have a matching pocket square. This is showtime. Like
it is.
I agree. The jokes and giggles are done. This is business. So we got to rep it right. That's why I cannot wear the singlet. So that's why.
Hang on. So you're telling me I wasted $120?
No! The homicide jersey.
Now, of course.
Oh my goodness.
Of course, you're a big City jersey fan.
That's the one you wanted.
Well,
now maybe I should have spoken to Larry and Jeremy and Andy and the head honchos before we dipped into the NBL Overtime budget.
Look at this.
Obviously, they spelled Carey wrong, but I did like what they did.
This is literally my favorite jersey out of the whole, the new pack of the jersey. So
now I'll understand if you can't wear it on broadcast, but at some point,
I'm going to wear it.
I want to see you, because you're a huge fan of Cottesloe Beach. You went down there on Instagram.
Yeah, I'm a huge fan of
You invited the Red Army down. I want to see you.
4 people showed up.
I want to see you at Cottesloe Beach some point this weekend on Instagram, repping.
I definitely have to put this on with a T-shirt under.
Yeah.
Can't go out like Carafino. I'm definitely rocking this. I love this jersey. This is an awesome jersey. Shout out to Perth, the city. I love it. This is beautiful.
Shout out to the NBL Overtime budget as well.
Shout out to the NBL budget.
Yeah, we went in.
This is dope.
Are we leaving the broom?
Nah, you can get rid of the broom. We'll get to predictions in a little bit, although you went early. But it might be needed back at some point, of course. The Make-A-Wish Foundation, of course, all City jerseys for sale.
Yeah,
of course,
this jersey
wonderful cause as well. So there you go.
I did say this was my favorite jersey out of them all. I'm definitely rocking.
Is that going to fit you, man? I might have to get a bigger one.
Of course, you crazy?
You work it out.
Slim fit, baby.
Cool.
Slim fit.
We'll get to our predictions early, but let's get to the second semi-final, or the second semi-final series. 2v3. Melbourne blew an opportunity to finish on top, but were able to fight back and win in overtime and clinch home court advantage in a semi-final series against the Sydney Kings. 4 games over the course of the year slanted 3-1 in Melbourne's favour, but the Sydney Kings, depending on which side of the coin you sit on, many people believe that they were able to do themselves a huge favour by psychologically taking a little bit back from Melbourne by winning. I think it'll be 20 days when that time they get to that semi-final series starting on Thursday night. This is a big one. Andrew Bogut's the MVP. Dean Vickerman's the Coach of the Year. This is a series that we all expected at some point. Some thought it might have been a grand final series. I put my hand up there, but this is going to be one 3-game series that's going to be great to watch.
I think you're absolutely right. I believe it's going 3 games. This is when we're going to see what Andrew Bogut is made of. I believe, he played really good basketball in the regular season, but there's still some gears to hit. And I believe he pretty much is like, I'm going to let these other guys do their thing. I'm going to do just enough in the regular season to get us placed. And then finals, I'm going to really level it up. So it's interesting for me to really see how he's going to perform. That's, for me, is going to tell the series.
It's such an awesome matchup. And all 4 of those games have been absolutely gripping, fascinating games to watch. And they're fairly similar teams in many respects. They're both elite defensive units when they're operating at their best. They've both got elite big men when Josh Boone's playing at his best. Real, genuine match winners as their playmakers. And then they've got so much talent up and down the roster on the wings. They both have been a bit clunky offensively at times, but when they are rolling, they are absolutely rolling. For me, it comes down to, obviously Jerome Randall, Casper Ware's intriguing. I think what happens with Bogut, what kind of an impact he can have. The one game where they won, he had, 15, 16 and 12, and he stuffed the stat sheet right across the box score. And if he can have that kind of impact, and we've seen all season, if he can have that kind of impact, he can dominate the game and they generally win.
I think we raised this on NBL Overtime a month or so ago, around the FIBA break, because the big question mark I think about Andrew Bogut is how his back's feeling, having to back it up. And the same could be said about Josh Boone. Josh Boone's best basketball, if you look at the Melbourne United fixture, it has cleared out a little bit into 2019. Not as many back-to-backs, and has played much better rather than a Friday night game into a Sunday. So both Boone and Bogut are going to enjoy probably more so than anyone, although Randall with that quad soreness as well has probably enjoyed the couple of weeks off. But this game 1, which sets the tone. If Sydney go to Melbourne and get the win, this thing just gets flipped on its head. All home court advantage, all we spoke about, goes out the window in 40 minutes. So Andrew Bogut, the big thing will be Bogut, Boone and Randall to maybe to a smaller extent, but those 2 big men who I think decide the game based on what you said, they're as fresh as they're going to be. And it's as fresh as they're going to be for the rest of the final series. Because as soon as they get into this thing, they're playing on Sunday. All right. Maybe Tuesday. And then maybe Friday night on the back of it. So the freshest they will be Thursday night. I think that will go a long way to deciding who, 1, wins the series, and 2, goes all the way to winning this whole thing in a couple of weeks' time.
What have I said from the beginning of the season?
Perth can't win the championship.
Outside of that, what is the other thing I've said from the beginning of the season?
Boone is Bogut's kryptonite.
There you go. But my point is, it's come down to those big men again. That's where we're at. That is where we are at. I'm not even going to say it.
Don't give predictions just yet.
I'm not giving it. Well, actually, I am giving it.
No, hang on. Can you hold it?
Okay.
Guy and Lee and everyone out the back's done a wonderful job of doing a nice, pretty graphic in a couple of moments' time. So hold your thoughts.
I got you.
There's more to it than those individual matchups, right? There's what are the strengths and weaknesses of these teams as we've seen them over the whole course of the season, right? Melbourne have a tendency to throw the ball all over the gym. And it was an issue for it, right? Their turnovers can get out of control.
18 turnovers in that loss to Sydney a couple of weeks ago.
And against Cairns. When
16 turnovers.
And they were turning it over a lot in that last game against Perth until they got it together. And Sydney when Lish crawls in and Randall crawls in and Newley, those guys crawl in on the perimeter, and Bogut, when those guys, they get after it defensively, and that's what turned the game in Sydney. So Melbourne's ability to look after the ball is going to be really crucial. Teams don't generally win in the NBL playoffs if they're not a good rebounding team. We spoke about being a good defensive team, crucial, but also rebounding. And at the start of the year, Melbourne had a bit of an issue with keeping teams off the offensive glass. Mm-hmm. For the most part, they've fixed that up. That's not been a big problem lately. But Sydney's issue on the boards has been a thing the whole year long. Now, obviously, they don't get a lot of offensive rebounds. And you need to be able to generate second possessions in the finals. But they choose to prioritise defensive transition. It's their ability to keep Melbourne off their offensive glass that I think is a key battleground in this series. And that's why I think the attacking Andrew Bogut is going to be a real focus for Melbourne. Where they give up offensive rebounds, obviously when Bogut's off the floor, but most of all, it's when Bogut changes shots. When you take it in there and you put it over the top and he comes across to block it, and he changed your shot, but he didn't get it, it's what happens on the weak side. And Melbourne, DJ Kennedy and Barlow and Moller, those guys are going to be going all over the glass.
4 great games over the course of the year between these two teams. The opening one was Melbourne Cup Eve, blockbuster in Melbourne, and couldn't get a ticket weeks leading in. Then there was a Saturday afternoon standalone game in Melbourne, couldn't do it again, and Mitch McCarron hit the tip in right at the end, and then Lish missed a lap, and then it was. Yeah. It's been full of intrigue and drama this series. Might have a look at some of the highlights from the 4 games. And you look at right before Christmas, Sydney had Melbourne.
They had them.
And then Chris Golding late hit some big shots, and then, of course, a couple of weeks ago. And this was the opening night on that Melbourne Cup Eve. Bogut in town for the first time. And the buzz around it, when the Melbourne Cup's in town, it's very hard to take some attention away. And this game actually did a little bit of this. And if you think back, it was DJ Kennedy's by far best game prior to Christmas.
24 and 10.
And this is what he did late. They were able to go small ball and they couldn't guard him down the straight. And he hit a lot of those late. And if they can replicate that...
Oh, mate, he's going to get those looks because when they went small, when Melbourne went to their death lineup against Sydney, their small ball lineup with Barlow at the 5, late in their most recent game, Bogut guarded Kennedy. And he's going to sit in the hole and Kennedy's going to get those mid-range looks.
If you look in this middle game as well, which is the second in the Sydney game, Melbourne led by 8 with 7 minutes to go, and Bogut was off the bench, off the court, on the bench, and Sydney were able to chip away, and it took that McCarron tip in to go. So small ball might work both ways, but one thing for certain, this is going to be absolutely full of highlights. As we see, Casper for the win, Lish just missed a tip in and missed the box out, and McCarron with the left-hand tip in there, which, of course, the Giant went nuts. And judging on the 4 games we've seen, this is a couple of... that was the game that Melbourne won right before Christmas, where if you look at the score...
No, it was very close. Golding caught fire down
But Sydney led for 90% of that game. It couldn't stop Golding. And that's when 11 there, getting close to three-quarter time. They hit a couple of threes to give them some confidence in the three-quarter time and were able to run over the top of them. This is going to be the series that I think will have the most highlights. I'm not saying about the most exciting, but I think this will have the most highlights with these possibly. I think it'll go to 3 games come next week.
Yeah. I think both games, the series will go to 3 games.
The whole key is last season, I doubted Melbourne United all year. Called out their whole team. Players needed to be fired. Players needed to be fined.
No. Yeah, I know.
When it was money time, they won. They won. You cannot disregard that they are the defending champs. Not saying you are, either of you. And that backcourt, they show up when it's money time. It's going to be really interesting to see which Melbourne United backcourt show up. Because they finished off the season horrible. Horrible. Both of them.
Well, Chris had his moments, but Casper's been struggling from the field, yeah.
Chris is on the bench.
He's playing big minutes.
Played horrible. That's why he's on the bench.
But you know what?
No. That's not why he's on the bench.
No
He's not on the bench.
And he's averaging more off the bench than as a starter.
He's off the bench to get DJ Kennedy going, and because it all just kind of
And they're better with him off the bench.
Let me ask you something.
Please.
If Chris Golden was lighting it up, would he be coming off the bench?
Well,
no. Let's keep it a buck on this panel.
But for whatever reason, they're playing better. They're playing better with him coming off the bench.
That's not why he moved to the bench,
to get DJ Kennedy.
And because he had a bit of a sore knee.
Oh, well, he missed some time as well.
All I'm saying is, off the bench or not, he's going to have to step. He's going to have to come big.
You know the one thing.
Kevin Lish.
I'll tell you,
Come big. Kevin Lish.
I'll tell you the one
dog
thing.
in his jock strap.
The one thing that
Damian Martin with a jump shot. That is Kevin Lish.
The one thing that might hurt just a little bit Melbourne is that there's going to be 10,500, 11,000 in there on Thursday night, and maybe a game 3 as well. And I've said this from the very start. While I don't think he's their best player, Chris Golding, I think that's Casper Ware. I think he's the most important because the crowd feeds off him more
Definitely.
so than almost any other player in the league.
Yep.
And if you have 11,000 people in the place,
Bryce Cotton.
Okay,
I'll feed off
you know what?
Cotton.
Yeah,
but it's close. It's a close.
But
I understand what you're saying as far as.
And if you look
the
back to
impact
Game
in the
5
arena.
last year, he rolled in
he definitely
and tore it apart. And when the crowd going nuts, really Adelaide had a sniff in the third, but we're pretty much, because of the intensity from the crowd, they fed off each other. That doesn't happen. Now, I'm not saying it's a waste, but if you get a slow start in front of your home crowd and silent, and we were all there for that Perth game a couple of weeks ago, it was dead. It was weirdly silent for 3. To be honest,
for the whole
38 minutes until they hit some shots late. So I'm not saying the team haven't played better because DJ Kennedy is a hell of a lot better with Chris Golding off the bench and the matchup. But you do lose a little bit of Chris Golding coming off the opening tip and just going, hey, I'm going to take this off and feed from the opening tip in the crowd. So you do lose that just a little bit.
But you have him in crunch time. And,
you do.
And that's what happened in the last game of the
Yeah.
season against Perth when he hit those big shots down the stretch.
All right, go on. You can grab your prop again. Here, I'll get it for you. You went a little bit early, but we are going to.
What's this for?
We put it back up now. We're going to do the predictions like.
I'm not putting that up there for this season.
These are both games. These are both games we're going to put out because you know how we have that NBL Overtime production meeting before the show starts.
Okay.
Don't give any predictions until we get to a little bit later on. But you went early. But it is prediction time.
Oh, my bad. Oh, okay, there we go.
It is prediction time as we look at how it's going to play out over the semi-final series. Remarkably, the next time we do an NBL Overtime, we'll have our grand final set. But if we have a look at that.
No love for Brisbane. Neither of you fellas.
Get him out of here, man. Get him out of here.
I look, honestly, it wouldn't stun me if it went to 3 games. I just don't want to be cop out and say they'll both go to 3 because I think Perth are the better team and I think they'll get game 1 and I think they'll get game 2, although it wouldn't stun me. But I think that other game is going to be one for the ages.
Brisbane haven't been in great form, but
they haven't.
We saw at points throughout the season how good they can be.
Agreed. Well, 5 weeks ago, we thought they could be the number 1 seed.
And we thought, isn't it going to be exciting when Brisbane match up against Melbourne in the first round of the playoffs and they've beaten them 3 times? This is a good matchup for Brisbane.
Look, they lost 5. It is.
No, you don't want to play in Perth. No one ever wants to play in Perth. But it's not a bad matchup.
If they can find the form they had a month ago, 5 weeks ago, it's going to be unreal. But lost 5 in a row. I know 3 were to Sydney, but they weren't even really that good against New Zealand, who had maybe checked out anyway, although they put up 198 points or whatever they did.
But Melbourne's form hasn't been great coming into the finals, and you've got lots of love for them.
Yeah, but I don't think Sydney's all that great as well. I think Cairns should have beaten Sydney in that last Saturday afternoon game. I know there was no Jerome Randall.
It was a tough one for the Kings.
It was.
When
it was.
They didn't really have a whole heap to play for and they still got the job done.
They had home court advantage though because they would have said, well, Melbourne have kind of left that door ajar.
Yeah, but they got the job done.
They got the job done.
It didn't go down.
But you're right.
Yeah.
But I think Perth will beat Brisbane. It won't stun me if it goes to 3, but I think that they got a bit of momentum in the Wildcats and I think they'll get them over too.
Let's stop playing on TV, guys. We know what's going to happen.
No.
We don't.
Listen, I'm rolling with the West in the first round, just so y'all know.
I'm not certain if you started the hashtag, but hashtag See Incredible has taken off and it's been incredibly relevant around this NBL season.
A month ago, you were telling us anything is possible.
I'm just telling you.
Now you're telling us to keep it a buck on this panel.
Keep it a buck on the panel. That broom, man. The broom. Get Brisbane out of here.
I think Perth will win the series, but I've got some love for the Bullets.
Okay, so we all agree unanimously that we think it'll be a Melbourne-Perth grand final. Perth-Melbourne grand final. But you know what?
But hey,
considering how this year's gone down,
it won't be that.
It could be Sydney. It could be Sydney-Brisbane.
It could be.
And it would be just as great.
Oh, my God.
All right. Hey, a little bit.
You don't like that.
Do not put me on the roster if it's Sydney. I'm not going to
check
Brisbane.
it out.
I'm done.
What do you mean?
I'm done for the season. You take my spot.
Sydney, Brisbane.
I'm not going to Brisbane.
Nah. I know where this is. I know where this is.
I'm not going to Brisbane.
This is motivator Carey Williams right now.
I'm not going to Brisbane.
What do you mean not going to Brisbane?
Nice.
If they get to the grand final, do not put me on the roster.
Well, okay. Hey, we got you.
I'm in.
All right.
I'll go.
Oh, my goodness.
What Bullets jersey do you want if they make a grand final?
Give me Leroy Loggins' jersey.
Leroy Loggins.
Leroy.
Speaking of
Fair
Leroy
enough.
Loggins, he was at practice the other day.
Yeah. Did you
like that.
Did you see the
Leaping
Instagram
Leroy.
story of him just talking to the journo? He just had the ball spinning on his
Leroy,
finger.
the GOAT.
Yeah, I
He
love
got a
it.
statue outside.
I love that. I love
the
Leaping
library.
Leroys there.
Now, the best thing about sport a
incredible.
lot of the time is not what happens on court or on field, but a lot of what the intrigue and drama, suspense, and the conversation
it.
off it. I love it. I love it. It's what makes the NBA, I think, the best governing body and league in the world. And we're getting a little bit of it right now in the NBL. Andrew Gaze, of course, we spoke about it last week, is stepping down once this is all said and done. Joey Wright is exploring his options. We didn't know it a week ago, but we had our last NBL overtime, we had suspicions that Rob Beveridge might be on the way out. Now that has all been confirmed. This merry-go-round coaching carousel is somewhat intriguing as well because it does include a team that are still battling and are a real chance to win the championship. What have you made of the toing and froing in the coaching ranks and the rumour and innuendo and the confirmations in the last week?
Well, it's interesting because last off-season, it was players moving everywhere.
Yep.
So many players were coming off contract. And this year, there's it looks like we're going to have a fair bit of movement in the coaching ranks. We've spoken about Drewy, and we haven't heard from Corey what he thinks about that. But look, it seems to be heading towards Rob Beveridge in Sydney. It makes so much sense for so many reasons with his relationship with Bogut and Lish and so on and so forth. I think part of the reason why they announced Drewy and the Kings, they announced it, was so that we wouldn't be having these conversations during the finals and in the lead up to the finals. But
if that's the case, if that's honestly the case, that's
here we are.
naive. Because the league, this isn't the NBL from 2005 where there wasn't a great deal of conversation around it. And then what Rob Beveridge in the exact same week gets announced he's not. And now I'm not saying it's the wrong or the right way to go about it, but if they legitimately thought that announcing the Andrew Gay situation before the semi-finals means we're going to just not worry about it and just talk about it, I think that's a little bit naive. I don't buy that because Jeff Van Groningen's a very solid operator at Sydney, and I don't think he would have thought that. But if he did, I think they pulled the wrong string.
Oh, I think Drewy probably thought it.
Okay.
To be honest. But if Beveridge does end up coaching the Kings next season, isn't it nice the way for Andrew Bogut, his career full circle?
Full circle.
Obviously that MVP, gold medal with the Junior World Championships under Rob Beveridge, that team for the ages, and then calming all the way around and playing for him in the NBL in what could be his last couple of seasons in the league. He's got one more year on his current contract for next year. And obviously his relationship with Kevin Lish, Coach Brad Newley was on that team way back when as well. I think it would work well, and I'd love to see what Bevo could do with that team.
Adelaide's interesting because they haven't yet re-signed Nathan Sobey, who many people believe is one of the main pieces they have to get to. Southeast Melbourne Phoenix, of course, complicate things a little bit. Second team in the state to it's Nathan Sobey, who's currently in France, for a couple of months as well. How does Adelaide go about this, Homicide? Because Joey Wright could still be back, even though he's exploring options. It does look probably unlikely he will be. What do Adelaide do?
I think maybe they should just go with a youth movement like Cairns. They're not going to throw a lot of money into the team.
Really?
Look.
And they were minor champions, made a grand final, and this year they were essentially 2 minutes away from being in a semi-final series again.
Look, if I'm the Phoenix, I'm going to get Sobey. Imagine that backcourt. That's a nasty backcourt.
Do we need to have a disclaimer against this as well? Because there is some rumours and innuendo that you are in some way involved.
I got nothing to do.
You lobbied for a job when Tommy Greer was on here.
He never gave it. He never called me. Never called me. But I'm just saying, I would grab Nathan Sobey. Look at that backcourt right there. No imports we talking about yet. That backcourt is just as good as two imports.
I think they'd go and import one.
I think they do.
Sobey and Imagine off the bench.
I agree.
If
Imagine and Sobey in the backcourt. Let's turn up. Put your money in the front line. Let's do it.
Well,
that's what I'm doing.
I don't know. I think Melbourne, the way they import 135, I think that works.
Now, I don't know if this is at all related, and we have no idea what Joey Wright's going to do next year, and if, in fact, the Adelaide 36ers have to raise money to actually get a high-profile coach. But it did, and he's doing the rounds, that there is some auctions going on right now in the Adelaide 36ers. Now, this is I love the idea of it, but essentially there are different things that you can bid on to do with the players and the coaches. Go fishing with Joey Wright is one of them. I think Brendan Tees and Daniel Johnson, you can go and cook. If you have a look at this, a cooking class, up to 2 guests, Brendan Tees, Daniel Johnson, enter your bid.
Wow.
Now, I don't.
Do we know those guys are good cooks?
I have
Is
no
that what they do?
idea. I have no idea what it's all about. I like the idea.
Look at
Look
the
at
value.
this.
Look at the
Go
value.
back. Can you please go back?
Can you please go back?
Can you please go back to the moped with Jack McVeigh? Because I love this. The 2-hour fishing session with Joey Wright. That's unreal. That'd be cool. If we can go back to Jack McVeigh, if we can't.
Hold on, fishing gear not included.
Look at this.
Yo.
Have a look
Wow.
at
That's
this.
cool.
So Jack McVeigh and his moped from the Grange Jetty, which is a beautiful... Well, Grange Jetty to the West Beach Surf Club, which is a beautiful part of Adelaide.
Yep.
You
Is Harry
jump-
Froling included?
Well, he might be in NBA Summer League by then, maybe. But
Maybe.
I don't know if you're going to be able to fit 3 people on there.
Look,
He rides that moped to the games.
Does he really?
Yes, he does.
that's the energy guy.
That's
I like.
cool.
Look.
Oh.
Come on.
Gary Williams.
Well, $140.
$140.
Yeah, listen, I don't come that cheap.
Have a look
Adelaide's
at
don't
this.
double
do
up.
that.
And for people who may not be aware, when it comes to, that is how you end your golfing lesson with Gary Williams. Here we go. Just see. Think about it. Oh, that's a stroke,
Bad,
by the
my
way.
bad. Oh, come on.
Now, this is obviously...
Barkley.
That's not a throwback. Oh, man.
Oh, did the Achilles? No, all right.
No,
I'll
he's
push
talking
on.
to Brad Robbins.
Oh,
The
yeah, that's
homicide
Brad-
This
style.
is what I was going to do to him.
And then, of course, what actually happened
my
off the
God.
back of that is
Slice
there...
him right.
The funny thing, the ironic thing about this is that off the back of this golf day that you're involved in, it was actually the first ever GoFundMe page that we had to set up for the cameraman for medical expenses when you hit him in the mouth.
That is just all bad.
Yeah.
Oh, my God.
But it got me thinking, NBL player, past or present, if you could do one thing with any of them, be it fishing, golf, moped, whatever it might be, have you got one in mind? Like anything.
Oof.
I would like to go hang out with Cal Bruton and have him put on one of his old school outfits with the hat. Mm-hmm. I would want to go
You
do
want to do
that.
dress-ups with Cal
Do
from the Black
dress-ups.
Pearl?
Yep. That's what
like
I'd want to do. Because I know he's coming in clean. You know, he's old school. He's a New Yorker.
Yeah.
Fast talker, smooth, with a hat, nice suit, 3-piece, and nice shoes. I'd want to do that and learn the history of basketball and his journey through his eyes.
Nice. He's so good to talk to. I would bid on the draft night experience with Brian Bowen. I'll go into the green room with Brian Bowen. That'd be good. Spearfishing with Todd Blanchfield.
Whoa.
That'd be good.
Get pretty dangerous.
I would actually... I'd hit like a little dingy bar with Steven Jackson. Remember he played... He played in the Sydney Kings as a 19-year-old. Like, hey, forget the program we got in now. Steven Jackson didn't go to college, came to the NBL, and that Sydney Kings team was hyped. Hammer was there, and he lasted a couple of games, broke his foot, and then, of course, his NBA career, which was up and down. It included a championship. It also included fighting a fan in the stands. We shouldn't laugh about it, but he's also a wonderful commentator now, part of, you know, the big three as well when it comes. So just nothing too fancy. I'm assuming he'd have great stories and also would probably like having a beer or two, but just some little dingy bar in his hometown or wherever he wanted to go, maybe in LA, and just sit back and just listen to him talk. And then, of course, involved in a very much publicised Instagram feud with Andrew Wiggins' brother only a couple of months ago. So,
really? What was that about?
Nah, there was the Jimmy Butler calling
that
out
whole thing.
Wiggins, and then Wiggins said, and then had a crack, and Steven Jackson. And that's what I like about the man. He got nothing to do with it. He just comes in over the top and says, hey. So,
I would bid. I might bid on that Joe Wright fishing trip. Imagine just kicking back and talking everything with Joe Wright.
I know a really good fisherman.
There's actually, I go, aside from that, speaking of Wiggins and Wiggins' brother and Steven Jackson, I go at it from time to time with a player's brother in this league.
Oh, whose brother?
Whose brother?
What team?
We go at it from time to time. He defends his brother.
What team?
Fair enough.
Yeah, what team? Who is it?
12 guys on that
brother.
team.
So, as in on a public forum, as in social media, or in a private?
Social media.
What team?
This wasn't the first time he's come back.
What team?
They're in the finals.
You can't leave us with that. All right. Hey, what you did last week, you obviously did a wonderful job in Darwin promoting the 3-on-3 Pro Hustle.
Thanks.
which is going to be huge. Darwin, Geelong, it's got a couple of locations.
And
of
Melbourne.
course, and Melbourne, of course.
Melbourne,
And
Darwin, Geelong.
the big thing about this is, and we've spoken a lot about it, 3-on-3 is a part of the Olympics. Yeah. And while it might not be going to reach, as we have a look at nice little voiceover on the side here. It's fun, it's fast if you haven't been involved, and there's plenty of opportunities to get involved at a lower level, even if you're not a professional. So check it out on the website. But there you go, March 31, only a couple of weeks away in Melbourne, then Geelong, and then up to Darwin, where you can go fishing and croc sightseeing with Carey, Homicide Williams.
Look, what I love about this is that obviously there's the website 3x3hustle.com. What I love about it is that there's some guys that the reality is they won't make it to the pros. But now 3-on-3, there's an opportunity to play, and if you win, you get a check, as well as if you're good enough, you may be able to play for your country in the Olympics. Like, this is legitimate chance to play professionally. So that's what I really love about it. Guys get opportunities, girls get opportunities. There's $150K up for grabs split into 2 divisions, men's and women's. So there's money to make.
There was a corporate.
Shout out to Sportsbet, got it done.
Felix Von Hoff played, Mark Worthington played. Who was their third member of?
Some guy named Bob from accounting.
Okay, because Felix, I must say, Felix and Wortho both told me individually they won it, yet never mentioned the third person on the actual team. No. I know they beat a team that it comprised of Stephen Hoare and Daryl Coletto.
And DC,
who, of course, who are obviously championship winners in their own right. So, you know, it's a really high quality competition.
That was the corporate hustle.
And it got us thinking a little bit. If you could put together a 3-on-3 team, I still believe that the pre-season tournament for the NBL should be 3-on-3 to build up some of these athletes, because it's some unique rankings around. You have to get ranking points to qualify both as a nation and as a player. And I think that the NBL should have some type of 3-on-3 tournament before next season. But I'll go fully into that another time. But if you could put 3 players together, all-time NBL to play in this tournament.
Oh, all-time. I just went a current.
Did
team.
you? Well, I've got 2 currents and an old schooler, but we'll go to you first.
Well,
what have you got?
Okay, so I've got 3 guys plus, you know, sub. You got to have 4 guys.
Of course,
team, right? Everything's a switch in 3x3. You got to be able to switch. You got to be guard across all players, and you have to be physical. And if you can shoot from range, if you can do a little bit of everything. So I've got Lamar Patterson.
Nice.
Dave Barlow. What?
No, I actually was going to put Dave Barlow up, so I don't have to change it.
Okay. Sean Long.
Okay.
And Nick Kay. That's my 3x3 team. They'll win it.
No, they won't.
They won't win it.
No,
they're not quick enough.
And they haven't got the 2-point shooting.
Yeah.
What? Patterson, Barlow.
Patterson ain't just knocking
They're
it.
all.
Who have you got?
Wow.
Well, this is the team. I got Kendall, Tom Gollop. You got to put Tom Gollop in there.
So you're going for guys who have done a lot in this format.
Sobey, and Finn Delaney.
My team is smashing that team.
Yeah, you're right.
Here's the other team, though.
You're right. I've got Liam still in front.
I got 2 teams.
Yeah.
Roselle Ellis, Abby Ara,
wow.
Homicide. In his prime. Let's go get it.
No sub.
No sub. Let's go get it.
You're all in your mid-40s.
Where's that?
In his prime. This is in the prime team. Not Corey now.
Yes, that's exactly.
This is what my team.
That is exactly right.
That's what my team's doing.
That is exactly. Exactly correct.
I like those names.
We're not calling
nothing. You need a 4th guy.
Put the whistle in the pocket.
I have got. You took Sobey, but I'm going to keep Sobey. I got Sobey, Golding, Cotton.
Too little.
Too little.
Don't worry about little.
It's a switch.
Mika Vukona.
Yo,
and I'll tell you why.
Is winning.
No, because you just have to live behind. You have
Mika Vukona.
You and I have commentated these games before.
Yes,
you're heavily involved. It is either a rebound, even off a made basket, kick it straight out, and you shoot a 3.
Yeah.
So you just need 3-point shooters.
Patterson.
No, I'm not sold because you're looking. I don't think you're worrying too much about the 3 or the 2. I'm just going straight out 3. I'm telling you, my team would beat yours.
Yeah, my team.
And
put the teams up. Put the teams.
Also,
my team is winning.
I was actually not even going to put Mika Vukona in. I was going to include Dwayne McLean because I think this would be set for the D train. This type of format would be great for Dwayne McLean.
Yo, first of all, your guys all played through the whistle. Okay? That's how you guys are. You guys, easy to guard. In the NBL.
Sean Long's easy to guard?
In the NBL, because the whistle is favored to them. This type of physicality, they not playing through that. You can foul,
you don't need to worry about physicality. You have to be quick, get the ball, you get
all
one.
I'm going to do is, guess what? We fully deny. We're going to take ones, run them off the line, One's everything. Don't give them no twos.
Yeah,
one's only.
Our team's winning.
Yeah, it's easy to say that. It doesn't work like that.
We're winning that. Let's get that squad together.
All right. Anytime you want to get involved, hashtag NBL19, hashtag NBL Overtime. Straight up, Wudsy off Twitter. Should we next year, with 9 teams coming in, have more teams in the playoffs? Of course, my wildcard idea is brilliant, but that 4v5. But should we seriously look at it, or the NBL should seriously look at having 5 teams? Or at least 6, maybe.
Wildcard.
Wildcard.
Love it.
Wildcard. Yep.
You know that I've raised this?
Yes, you did.
I did, and
just like you raised the chain nets.
Yes.
Sure.
And I've raised it.
Miss.
I've raised it both to Jeremy. Now, that's from Matt Davis. This is from Wudsy. Should an NBL club try sign Leangelo or LaMelo Ball? Would create massive interest from the States. I'm getting rid of this. It's covered in dust.
Yes.
Where did you bring this from home?
No, you got to.
I don't have a home.
All right, one of the Ball brothers.
Facts.
Now, I'm going to take LaMelo.
I'm homeless, man.
I'm going to take LaMelo Ball out of this because I think that he will end up playing college in the NBA. But Leangelo, should an NBL club look at it?
LaMelo Ball will not play college. He'll do 1 year overseas and gone.
Well, then should they're based on it then?
Nah.
Should the NBL try and get LaMelo Ball involved in the next gen
What kind of
program?
league is this?
It's not a cupcake league.
Tell him, please.
Also, do you want to deal with his pops? That's a package. Do you want to deal with his dad?
The publicity, the media,
Hey,
would be,
just
the
quickly.
traction would be great, but nah, we
Is
don't
it
need
good publicity?
Nah.
Then that'll turn, I believe, young fella's good.
I haven't seen you this fired up. I want to point this out. This is not my suggestion.
I feel you.
Look down the camera.
My bad.
I feel you, man.
Young fella could hoop, without a doubt. He's a talent. However, you're gonna have to deal with his dad's mouth. People in the NBA can't deal with his dad. You think the NBL could deal with that? Who would want to deal with it?
He comes out here, starts talking smack.
He gonna be right here, in your ear. You think I got a big mouth?
Who do you think would win one-on-one?
You don't want that.
You or LeVar? Because LeVar famously said he could beat Jordan one-on-one.
Plenty of people could say that.
Because you're
Look,
scared.
I hung
you're
my
scared,
shoes up, man.
You're
I
actually
hung my shoes up.
You're actually scared to play me, so you'd be scared to play LeVar Ball. All right, before we get out of here, our predictions. One more Thursday night. Who wins?
Yeah, Melbourne at home, I think.
Cool.
Yeah.
Because the next time we're together, we'll have a grand final matchup. And I love that the NBL have condensed this down and we're not having to wait. The players might not love it as much, but as fans and media commentators, it's exciting. We've got really no days off outside of Friday once we get into it. You'll be in Perth on Thursday. Not in the jersey, which is disappointing, but you'll have it on some point.
I'm going to have it on at some point. I'm going to have it on. I love this jersey.
Now, this isn't exactly... Firstly, should we have an NBL Overtime hustle team?
Nah.
No?
We
don't want that smoke.
We don't want that smoke.
I'm not talking about in the highest level. Maybe just drop down.
Nah, we don't want that. We don't want that.
Okay. All right. Okay. Now, I must... Something has come across my desk, and when I say that, it's on my phone. Because every time I go on, I see Insta story, you're doing something cool and exciting.
Thanks, man.
Thanks.
Oh.
But not you. Although,
doesn't even have his...
Have you got Instagram? Because I was tagged in something last week that at Liam Santa Maria was also tagged in. I thought, is this scoundrel not following me? Then I realised it's another guy that's got 4 followers who ain't a baller. I'll tell you that right now. But that's not you. You're not.
Not on the gram. Nah.
But you've been fairly quiet. You raised Kobe Bryant once earlier and said we've got to get a stand, and you haven't said anything else again.
Look,
But I tell you what, you are slamming it now.
Back then he was talking we.
Yeah.
You remember? He said we got to get on there.
We got to get there.
Look, it's been tough, but, friends of the program, I ended up...
Hang on a second. Friends of this program or your program?
The program.
Okay. Yeah.
Friends of the program, I was able to get a ticket. March 6th, Crown Palladium. The Black Mamba is in the building. Shout out to friends of the program because obviously it's sold out. All that's available is meet and greet tickets, which is, obviously a
What's
few
a meet
grand.
and greet ticket worth?
Maybe like 2,000,
Okay.
1,500, something like that. I don't really know the number because I didn't pay for the ticket.
That's a surprise.
Homicide is in the building. KobeBryant.live.
Okay, so we just want to set a little challenge to you.
Oh, let's do
Because
it.
now you're in with the program, and obviously Liam and I are on the outer and have no idea what's going on.
Talk to me.
Well, you know what? I don't know. This desk is big enough for 4 seats. Kobe's
Man.
in town.
We squeezed Tommy Greer in.
Next Wednesday, we did.
I think we could fit in the Mamba.
We fitted the white Mamba in, let's get the black one in. All right?
Man.
So, we can't do a show, if it goes to Game 3, we can't do NBL Overtime on next Tuesday because we'll probably be at Melbourne Arena watching the Kings and United.
Right.
So we're going to have to force the show out onto the Wednesday. Now, we're happy to pre-record the show if it's for Kobe Bryant.
Here's what I'll do.
Because the bad news for you is if we do a Wednesday night overtime, you can't go meet Kobe because you'll have to be here working.
Nah,
So your challenge is
mate.
get Kobe Bryant.
Oh, the penny drop.
Guy, Andy Crook,
That's what you need to do.
we're going to have to work something out, fam.
Get him in. You know
We're
what?
going to have to work
Tell you
something
what,
out.
who's on the playoffs up here? Well, we'll get one of these
real
guys
estate.
down.
What's this guy?
Sobe or DA? We'll
Get
take
DA.
him down. We'll put Kobe Bryant in one of their positions if he's on the show. There you go. We're not paying him, but we're just going to get him on the mural. NBL Overtime done and dusted. We'll be back at some time next week. If it's not Tuesday, if it clashes with a Game 3 and it'll clash with Kobe Bryant, well, the show will go ahead and, well, Kerry, bad luck. Anyway, enjoy huge semi-final action. Going to be a great series. The regular season done and dusted. 4 teams remain. We'll see you next week.
I didn't even think of that. Oh, this guy. Look at this.